It's that time. It's that time. It is that time, my friend. It's that time for you to listen to the guy in the orange mask talking about crypto, talking about technical analysis, risk management, trading psychology. I'm just giving you I'm giving you what I got. Take it or leave it. If it helps, makes me feel a little bit better. It's what is it? The 11th day of August, 2022. Thank you for joining. I, of course, am Big Cheds. I'm probably most known for Big Cheds on Twitter, where I put out academic observations about the price, trading psychology, risk management. Of course, I am the author of Trading Wisdom, 50 lessons every trader should know. Want to thank each and every one of you for the feedback, the support. The book has done really well. Many of you may not know I am also the author of My Battles with Cancer. I'm a cancer survivor. I was also a caregiver. If you know anybody who's fighting cancer, just shoot me an email. I'll send you the book for free. Right now after the show, whatever you need. I'm also working on my third book. Should be out pretty soon. Trading Quotes. It is getting good. I'm working on it. I'll get it done this year. I've got a few months left, right? I've got several months left. I'm on like draft 4. It's in pretty good shape. I'm excited. So my book on Amazon, 4 formats: Kindle, hardcover, audiobook, and paperback. But you know what? If you don't want to pay for it, I've got your back. Go to my YouTube, go to Ched's Trading, check out the playlist. Eventually I'm going to do the whole book for free for you on my YouTube. I've done 16 of 50. That's almost 1/3. I'll do lesson 17 next week or two. What is lesson 17? Well, now we're hanging out. I'm just curious. What's lesson 17? I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head. I haven't memorized them. Don't fight the trend, ride it. All right, cool. I'm not going to spoil it, but that's going to come in the next couple weeks. So thank you for checking that out. Listen, I've got a bunch of great playlists. What I like to think of as free alpha. If you're just starting and you're wondering, how do I trade? Where do I begin with technical analysis? Go to the tutorials, masterclass, TA webinars playlist. I think that's going to help you out a lot. This video, and thank you for watching. This video will be under the quick market updates playlist, where I kind of do one of these every few weeks, whatever. I kind of review tweets. Check that out. Check out the long form interview series. I just interviewed Peter Brandt. It was unbelievable. The guy is a gem. I think we had an excellent conversation. I think there's a lot of value there for you folks. And other than that, of course, I am a founding analyst at Bitcoin Live. Bitcoin Live is the best in class educational platform for crypto. I've been doing market updates there for going on 4 years. What I do is twice a week, I stop whatever's going on in my life. I stop and do a market report, even if I'm on vacation. And I put it out. Helps me to practice. And I'm just one of many contributors at a world-class team. So consider checking that out. So I'm going to pull up the Bitcoin chart. But what I want to do is check in with you, folks, in the chat room. It's a worldwide thing. Please tell me where you are coming from in the world. Let's all, close our eyes and imagine we're all hanging out in the same place, right? Connected through time and space. We're all watching this Bitcoin chart. We're all part of this same community. So just reach out. I'd love to know where you folks are in the world. We've got good evening from Iowa. Let's see what's going on to everybody else. King of Bitcoin, thanks. I just enjoyed the price action. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Chad's in Montreal. That's a great city. I am a big fan of Montreal. I actually write about it in my book. So I talk a little bit about that city. That's a wonderful place. Let's see where people are coming from. Cleveland, Hawaii, Singapore, Chile, Tejas, or Texas, as they call it, Puerto Rico, Sweden. Look at this. I'm just a guy hanging out, and I get to connect with you folks throughout the world. Before I move on, I just uploaded Twitter Spaces. These are super fun. I've been doing these conversations, Bulgaria and the house. I've been doing these conversations. I did one 2 days ago, and Do I have the date wrong? Today's 8/11, 8/9. So one of these is 8/4. So the most recent one of these is actually 8/9. I'll have to edit that, but I have these conversations on Twitter with folks, 3, 4, 500 people watching, and just bring people up one after another. They ask questions, and I find it really instructive. It helps me to kind of stay connected to the community. And I think the questions that these people are asking, most of them are questions that we and topics we can all relate to as traders. So check out this playlist. It's awesome. It's a building playlist. I'm pretty excited about that. All right, more from Melbourne. Great Kashmir. That's great. California, Redwoods. More from Chile, Brazil in the house, Italy, Malaysia. So Puerto Rico, Iceland, Portugal. So listen, friends, thank you. Thank you for joining. Let me just look at you and say thank you. Thank you for joining here today. So what do we want to talk about? I'm going to talk about Bitcoin a little bit. I have a few tweets that I have in mind, but if I see anything interesting in the chat room, I'll address it. I'll probably miss your message because there's a lot of stuff going on, but let's see. What do I have lined up here? So Ethereum, let's see, BNB. So I had an interesting tweet on BNB because I think that chart is interesting, and Ethereum as well. So what's Ethereum been doing? I mean, Ethereum has really kind of been leading the way. With a clean breakup from the ascending triangle, it's been pausing and consolidating as it kind of works through this zone, grinding higher in the higher lows. But the level to watch has been the MA20, simple moving average, equal weighted, 20 period. So, I put out this tweet. This was on whatever day this is. I guess we'll just plug it right in. So here we go. So I'm basically saying on this day, we're slowly grinding higher, into this area, but we just keep watching support MA20, and we had that really nice just yesterday, that really nice drop right down to the SMA20 around 1650, and it bounced, all the way up to 1950. So simple moving average strategy and kind of recognizing what a key level is in the chart and why the MA20 is important. You've just been tracking it, rejected in April, rejected end of April, rejected again end of April, beginning of May, rejected at the end of May, rejected, in June, yada, yada, yada. So it's an important level. You're definitely paying attention to it. So this is kind of one of those tweets where it's basically just, here's a key level, just focus on this key level. Because much of the time trading can be so complicated. Am I doing the RSI? Is it the OBV? Is it the MACD? If you just kind of pay attention to what the key support levels are, that will help you, right? Because Ethereum's in an uptrend. I think that's hard to deny. And when you're in an uptrend, you're looking to buy the dip, and you're looking to figure out where that buy the dip level is. So MA20, for sure, you can draw a horizontal zone. I mean, that's a decent spot right there as well. If you get a pullback or really a throwback, technically speaking, to that level, but just kind of tracking Ethereum. If you've been tracking it from a TA standpoint, for many months now, you've been watching the MA20. So you kind of know that's the deal. BNB is interesting. You think about the fact that, you've all these charts, and they all have varying degrees of how well they line up, how well their levels line up. And this is just kind of a textbook example of a really well-defined level where you have support over a kind of decent you have time interval in between these attempts, 1, 2, and then you drop down, you break below it. You have that drastic lower Bollinger dip, overreaction bounce, and you look where it rejects. Like, okay, that makes sense. It makes sense to reject there. So if you were shorting it, if you were tracking the price action, if you observed the support breakdown, let me just check in the chat room before I keep on rolling too much further. Great. Everything looks good. If you were tracking that breakdown and then the overreaction dip, high wave spinning top, you look at that deep penetration of the lower Bollinger, you probably at least bounce to the middle, in that type of a scenario. But you're looking at that underside of the broken support, boom, rejection, come back below. It based, and then BNB had, had the spring here, more or less temporary violating, that middle of May low, came back up above its support, throwback support, boom, and then the stair step. I mean, it's pretty clean. It's pretty clean. You can see the stair stepping here. Resistance turned into support. Look at that. Resistance turned into support. I mean, this is textbook. I mean, it really, really is. And now we are at just a huge level. Boom. MA200. MA200 where it was rejected before. And you have the downtrend deep drop, boom, right back into the jackpot, right? The prior level that was broken and shown as resistance. So this is just such a huge spot. So kind of as a chart nerd, as a chart geek, thanks to you. Thank you, GI. Thank you so much. Cheers from California. Patagonia, Manila, Comastapo, Manila, Earth, USA, Virginia. Cool. I'm definitely down with Virginia, Peru. All right, all right, and Iran. So it's just a big spot, and it's kind of an interesting chart to me for that reason. So that's BNB. Talk a little bit up. There's Ethereum, blah blah blah. Let's talk about Bitcoin. So what's going on with Bitcoin? What are we looking at here? What do we make of this? What is this? Bitcoin 24/7. What are we talking about, Chad? What does this mean? It would be fun to see. What does this mean? I'm basically kind of saying, if I mean it would be fun because Bitcoin would have to be really strong, incredibly strong to power through this type of double negative divergence on the daily chart with OBV. Right, with the OBV and index oscillator tallying up the buy and the sell pressure, and that's BNB, Litecoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin, right? So it would have to be really, really strong to power through that, and that would be interesting to me. So I'm kind of tracking that, and I'm looking at these peaks, and I'm looking at these peaks in the on-balance volume, really adding up the buy and sell pressure. I'm using OBV, although I really don't really use oscillators. I'll start to look at them for divergence right when the price is at a key level. Bitcoin relief rally's been pretty impressive so far. Flip of 34, held the 50, kind of charging back up to those last three really levels to watch. May 12th low, 28K, MA200, really kind of inching back up to that. But we're, at this point, this pattern is mature. Whatever we're looking at here, this is mature. Okay. Whatever this thing is morphed, the rising wedge into the pennant, into the flag, into the whatever you want to call it. I mean, this thing is mature, right? This channel is mature. So you start to look at lower time frame. You start to look for potentially divergence. And we're making new highs. I want to see that confirmed in the on balance volume. That's important. For Bitcoin, we're not seeing that. That's a warning sign to me. That means the move up is not being supported by volume. So you have the new high made here. You're calculating divergence based on the candle body, not the candle wick. Checking the chat room. Everybody is okay. You're drawing divergence based on that candle body. You see the new high not confirmed. You're like, okay. And so we have even here, where we have a higher high, lower high, double negative divergence. So it's interesting to see if it can push through despite this double negative divergence. As I drew it here, that was assuming that the price had closed kind of up in that 24/7 area where it was at the time. We finished the daily candle with a gravestone doji. It looked to be on track for a shooting star, but we have a gravestone doji. Even though it's not a shaven bottom, that's fine with that tiny wick. It's really just the neutral close with a long upper shadow. And really just you see it and you just draw these right away. I mean, just by practice, by habit, you say, okay, I see that, boom, and I see that. So you see this kind of series of up thrusts, and you immediately you see that and you say, okay, I mean, it's not like bulls are in huge trouble because you have a series of higher lows that you still are sporting. I mean, that's the most recent major one. Of course, from the low, the higher low, the higher low, the higher low, and then you have this one, which is kind of a minor higher low because the price had a different reaction rather than the kind of strong thrust from a higher low towards the upper Bollinger. It did kind of a lower time frame equilibrium or consolidation. So I'm definitely still keeping an eye on that 20.7, but I'd say, you have to watch this higher low. If you're a bull, and, all this is fine. This is all not a big deal. This gravestone, because we had all this candle weakness, all this candle weakness, that just led to a higher low, right? So that's kind of okay. Boom, higher low, boom, higher low, boom, higher low. So that's the name of the game. And you can still, as long as you're maintaining that higher low, you kind of complete that pattern, and that's fine. But just something's a little bit different about this higher low most recently on the August 4th low. So I'm kind of watching that in any case. But on the other hand, if you're just kind of an opportunistic bear, you're just kind of sitting around, looking for an entry, you had a couple nice entries here already. I mean, you had the up thrust here off the channel high July 30th, you're back below it. And then you had the most recent low, the kind of the local up thrust here off the August 8th high. So, you're in a short off of that if you wanted to, just based off simple horizontal technique. And then again, of course, it's just a higher low watch, right? Higher low, higher low, higher low. So that's pretty straightforward. So it'd be fun to see if it pushes through. And here we go. This one. All right. I mean, just people keep asking about my 12K call. I mean, I don't know if we're gonna go to 12. I honestly don't know. I think it's still like 50-50. Bottom could totally be in, right? I'm ready for that. We'll see things happen. 28K flip, MA200 flip, these other benchmarks we've talked about in the weekly chart, and all that. But the point of this is I was calling 12K when the price was at over 40K. And I have people all up in my replies like, when 12K sheds? Like, I'm sorry, we only went to 17.5. Okay. When the price was at 40K when I was making this call, people said it will never go below 20K. It's never going to go below an all-time high. Like, can we just chill out here? We will see what happens. All right. It made sense. It made sense to start to look in this area back then because we just had the false breakout. When did this tweet happen? It was right here. It was right after. I mean, this is such a clear setup, and it's interesting because it's somewhat analogous to what we're going through now with the EMA 34 recapture and the EMA 34 recapture and the kind of sideways chop and the sideways chop. So it's very much analogous in that sense, in the false breakout tweezer top MA 200. So let's see. I mean, when did that come? It was right there. I mean, it was right there. Okay. So it was basically like right around this range. And it was right around this range. It was just after we had the false breakout. So it's totally reasonable to start looking much lower. We just had an attempted we had a strong downtrend off the November high, and we forced the downtrend sideways. We had a beautiful long setup. We just had the long setup trigger, and then it rejected. So it was like such a strong momentum signal. So at that point, you should look lower. So when I put out that tweet, at 41K, I'm looking down at 12K because I expect 30K to test and break. And then I don't see a lot of price structure, 20 to 30. I expect 20K to break. And I don't see a lot of price structure, really 12, 13K to 20. So I'm looking at 12. It hasn't happened yet. And I'm sorry, we only went to 17K from this level. So, look, just because I'm more conservative than you and I want to wait till lower doesn't mean you have to follow me. Like, you have to make your own plan. I'm just telling you what I think and what I plan to do. If I'm wrong, if I miss it, that's fine. I'll ride a confirmed reversal, but I don't buy downtrends. I just don't. So, I mean, take it or leave it. It is what it is. All right. What more can I say about that? So last one here, and the potential up thrust. I talked about that. This was after the divergence tweet. You know, we have a potential up thrusts setting up here on the daily chart where you break over a resistance and you're unable to hold it. That's just a pretty clear momentum signal if you're looking to short or even take profit on a long. Um, so you had a couple of those, depending on which one of those triggers you wanted to use. So it is what it is. And like I said earlier, it's back to, sorry about that. I took myself off. It it's just now it's back to the higher low watch. So, friends, let's see what's going on. All right. Anyway, folks, listen, thank you so much. I just wanted to touch base with everybody. I've been going live for about 20 minutes. So listen, whatever you're doing out there, it, it's a grind. All right. Don't expect it to be easy. You're gonna have to keep working at it. And if you're frustrated, that's okay. Find ways to take breaks when you're frustrated, right? Find ways to take breaks when you get emotionally over involved. I think that's important. So, um, anyway, thanks. Thanks for hanging out here with me on a Thursday night. I am, of course, Big Cheds. Find me at Big Cheds on Twitter. Please consider checking out my YouTube channel and subscribing. I have tons of great information. I hope some of that is of value to you. My book, Trading Wisdom, is available on Amazon. It has been well received. And thank you. Thank you kindly for that. Free version, of course, on my YouTube channel, Trading Wisdom playlist. Proud founding analyst at the best in class platform for crypto. It's a world class, unbelievable team. I've been part of it since the beginning. We have a great team as well as a great group of members. So I'm really happy to be and proud to be involved with that. Consider checking that out. Anyway, folks, thank you so much. And I will say until next time, I hope you do fine. I hope fortune favors you, and I hope that you give yourself a little bit of time, right? You know, don't be too hard on yourself. Trading's so hard that if you beat up on yourself, it's not going to help, right? You know, it's tough enough as it is. So give yourself a little bit of room, give yourself a little bit of time to make mistakes and then try to learn from them. So give yourself a little bit of slack there. Don't be too hard on yourself. So in any case, I love you folks, and we'll talk soon. Let's finish it up with a little bit of dancing, of course.